The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Heavy, cream-colored, expensive paper that whispered of old money and older secrets. I stared at it across my father's mahogany desk, the family crest embossed in black wax seeming to pulse like a living thing. "Open it," my father said. His voice carried that tone, the one that meant this wasn't a request. "I know what it is," I replied, my fingers tracing the edge of my coffee cup instead. "Anything to avoid touching that envelope." "Then you know you don't have a choice." I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was bitter even to my own ears. "There's always a choice, Dad. Not when the Morelli family owns 70% of our debt." He leaned back in his leather chair, and for the first time in my 24 years, I saw him look old, defeated. "Not when they can destroy everything our family built in 3 generations with a single phone call." My hand trembled as I reached for the envelope. The wax seal cracked under my thumb. Some part of me recognized the symbolism. My old life breaking apart. Inside a single card. Thick stock. Elegant calligraphy. "Miss Isabella Rossetti is cordially invited to dinner at the Morelli estate. Friday 8 p.m. Your attendance is required." Required. Not requested. "He wants to meet me before the wedding," I said flatly. "Dante Morelli wants to ensure his investment is worth the price." My father poured himself a whiskey, despite the early hour. "Isabella, I need you to understand something. This marriage, it's the only way." "The only way to save your mistakes, you mean?" His hand slammed the desk. "Watch your tone. You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to hand my daughter over to that?" He stopped himself, took a breath. "The Morelli family is dangerous, Isabella. Dante especially. But he's also the only reason we're not in the ground right now." I stood, smoothing my pencil skirt with hands that wouldn't quite steady. "What kind of dangerous?" "The kind you don't ask questions about. The kind you smile at and say yes sir to." He met my eyes. "The kind that makes men disappear when they displease him." Ice water through my veins. "And you're giving him your daughter." "I'm giving him a wife. There's a difference." He looked away. "Just keep your head down. Play your part. Give him an heir or two. In a few years maybe you can have some freedom. Some life of your own." "How generous," I whispered. I made it to my car before the tears came. Sitting in the parking garage of my father's office building, I gripped the steering wheel and let myself break down for exactly 5 minutes. Then I wiped my face, reapplied my lipstick, and drove to the one place I knew I could think clearly. The shooting range was nearly empty on a Tuesday afternoon. I checked in, grabbed my ear protection, and headed to my usual lane. Loading my Glock 19, I tried to quiet my mind. Tried to find that zen place my instructor had taught me. Breathe in. Sight alignment. Breathe out. Wheeze. The first shot went wide. Sloppy form. I spun around, gun instinctively lowering to point at the floor. The man standing behind me was tall, easily 6'3", with dark hair pushed back from a face that could have been carved from granite. Sharp cheekbones. A nose that had been broken at least once. And eyes. God, his eyes were almost black, like looking into an abyss. He wore a 3-piece suit that probably cost more than my car, somehow making a shooting range feel like a boardroom. "Excuse me," managed. "Your stance. You're favoring your left side. Overcompensating." He moved closer, and I caught the scent of expensive cologne and something darker. Gunpowder, maybe. Or danger. "May I?" Every instinct screamed at me to say no. To put distance between myself and this stranger who looked at me like he could see straight through my skin to the bones beneath. Instead, I heard myself say, "Sure." He stepped behind me, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. His hands, large, calloused despite the expensive suit, settled on my shoulders. "Relax," he murmured, his breath warm against my ear. "Tension is your enemy. Breathe." I did. And hated how my body responded to his proximity. How something low in my belly tightened. His hand slid down my arms, adjusting my grip. Better. Now look at your target. Don't overthink it. Just feel. I squeezed the trigger. Bullseye. Good girl. The words sent a shiver down my spine that I definitely didn't want to examine too closely. He stepped back and I could breathe again. I turned to face him, ready to thank him or tell him off. I hadn't decided which. That's when I saw the tattoo peeking out from beneath his left cuff. A serpent coiled and ready to strike. The Morelli family crest. Oh God, I breathed.
His lips curved into something that might have been a smile on a less predatory face. Not quite. Though I appreciate the reverence. He extended his hand. Dante Morelli. And you must be my future bride. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't do anything but stare at the hand he offered like it was a snake about to strike. How did you find you? I make it my business to know everything about what belongs to me, Isabella. He said my name like a caress. Or a threat. And as of Friday you belong to me. I don't belong to anyone, I snapped, finding my voice. Semantics. He gestured to the target. You're good with a gun. I like that. My wife should be able to protect herself. His eyes traveled down my body, slow and deliberate. Among other skills. Heat flooded my cheeks. You're disgusting. I'm honest. There's a difference. He stepped closer again, invading my space with the confidence of a man who'd never been told no. Let me be clear about how this arrangement works, Isabella. You will marry me. You will move into my home. You will play the dutiful wife in public. His finger traced along my jaw, tilting my face up to meet his gaze. And in private, well, we'll explore those boundaries together. I jerked away from his touch. I could say no. I could refuse. You could. He didn't sound concerned. And then I'd foreclose on your father's business. His home. His entire life's work would disappear in 72 hours. He straightened his cuffs. Your little brother, James, isn't it? Studying medicine at Columbia? Such an expensive school. Such a shame if he had to drop out in his final year. My blood turned to ice. You wouldn't. I would. I will. Unless you walk down that aisle in exactly 10 days and say, I do. He leaned in close enough that his lips nearly brushed my ear. I always collect what I'm owed, Isabella. And your father owes me everything. Including you. This is insane, I whispered. This is reality. Your reality now. He stepped back, adjusting his tie. Dinner. Friday. 8 p.m. Don't be late. I despise tardiness. He turned to leave, got 3 steps away, then looked back over his shoulder. Oh, and Isabella? Wear something red. It's my favorite color. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with my gun, my target, and the sudden, terrifying knowledge that my life as I knew it was over. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking. I raised the gun, aimed at the target, and emptied the entire clip. Every single shot hit center mass. Good girl, I mimicked under my breath, his words still echoing in my ears. I had 10 days to figure out how to survive Dante Morelli. Or how to destroy him first. Chapter 2, Dante. She was even more beautiful when she was angry. I watched Isabella Rossetti storm out of the shooting range through the tinted windows of my SUV, parked conveniently across the street. Marco, my driver and head of security, glanced at me in the rearview mirror. That went well. She didn't shoot me. I'm counting it as a victory. The night is young, boss. I smirked. Marco had been with me for 15 years, since we were both stupid kids running numbers for my father. He'd earned the right to speak freely. What did you think? I asked. I think she's got fire. I think she's not going to roll over and play dead like the others. He pulled into traffic, following Isabella's silver Audi at a discreet distance. I think you might have actually met your match. Good. I'd been bored for years. The family business ran itself at this point. My father had built an empire and I'd streamlined it, modernized it, made it more profitable than he'd ever dreamed. Money laundering through legitimate businesses. Strategic investments. Calculated risks that always paid off. I was 32 years old and had more power than most men achieved in a lifetime. I was also utterly, mind-numbingly bored. Until Vincent Rossetti came crawling to me 6 months ago, drowning in debt and bad decisions. He'd made a series of investments that went sideways, partnered with the wrong people, and found himself in a hole so deep that bankruptcy was the best-case scenario. The worst case? His creditors were connected. Dangerous. The kind of men who collected debts in blood when cash wasn't available. So he'd come to me. begged me to buy out his debt, to save his family's company. And I'd said yes. For a price. I'd been watching Isabella for months, studying her, learning her patterns, her habits, her secrets. She was beautiful, that was obvious. Long dark hair, gray-green eyes that changed color with her mood, a body that moved with unconscious grace. But beauty was common in my world. Easy to buy. No, what intrigued me about Isabella Rossetti was her spirit. Her intelligence. The way she'd carved out her own life despite her father's expectations. She had a degree in art history but worked as a curator at a private gallery. She lived in her own apartment, maintained her own finances, and from what my investigators could tell, had absolutely no interest in the society life her parents kept pushing her toward. She was independent, strong-willed, stubborn, perfect. She's going to her apartment, Marco noted as Isabella's car turned into her building's parking garage. Good. Give her tonight. Tomorrow morning have the first delivery sent. What are you sending? I smiled. Incentive. The Morelli estate sat on 15 acres in the most exclusive part of the city. My grandfather had built it in the 50s, a monument to his success in importing. My father had expanded it, adding security features that would make a military installation jealous. I'd made it mine. The interior was all dark wood, leather, and sharp edges. No warmth. No softness. Exactly how I liked it. My office occupied the entire east wing of the second floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the grounds. Mahogany desk that had belonged to my grandfather. Shelves lined with books I'd actually read, philosophy, military strategy, art history. I poured myself a scotch and settled into my chair, pulling up the surveillance footage from the shooting range on my laptop. I watched Isabella's face as I'd approached her. The flash of fear quickly masked by defiance. The way her body had responded to my proximity, even as her mind rejected it. Chemistry. Undeniable electric chemistry. This marriage would be many things, but boring wasn't one of them. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. Dinner tomorrow night. We need to discuss the Rossetti arrangement. I didn't bother responding. My father thought he still ran this family. He'd learn otherwise soon enough. Another text, this time from my sister. I hear you're getting married. About time. When do I get to meet her? Soon, Lucia. Patience. Is she pretty? She's mine. That's all that matters. So romantic. No wonder you've been single for 3 years. I smiled despite myself. Lucia was the only person in the world who could get away with mocking me. 8 years younger, she'd been sheltered from the worst of our family business. She lived in Manhattan, ran a legitimate art gallery, and as far as I was concerned, would stay far away from the darkness that consumed the rest of us. How's the gallery? I typed. Thriving. We're hosting an exhibition next month. You should come. Maybe I'll bring my wife. Oh my God. You're actually excited about this, aren't you? Was I? I looked at the frozen image of Isabella on my screen. Her face flushed, eyes bright with anger and something else. Something that matched the hunger currently coiling in my gut. I'll see you soon, Lucia. I closed the laptop and walked to the windows, scotch in hand. 10 days until Isabella Rossetti became Isabella Morelli. 10 days until I made her mine in every sense of the word. I'd waited long enough. The hunt was almost over. Chapter 3, Isabella. The flowers arrived at 7 a.m. I stumbled to my apartment door, still in my pajamas, and found a delivery man struggling with an enormous arrangement of red roses. And I mean enormous, it had to be at least 100 blooms. Isabella Rossetti? He asked, wheezing slightly. Unfortunately. He didn't seem to know what to do with that response. I took the vase, God, it was heavy, and kicked the door shut. The card was simple. Elegant. Infuriating. Red suits you. I should have thrown them out. Should have tossed the entire arrangement in the dumpster and sent him a picture of it. Instead, I found myself placing them on my kitchen counter, adjusting the blooms, breathing in their sweet scent. You're an idiot, Isabella, I muttered to myself. My phone rang. My best friend, Sophie. Please tell me you're not working today, she said by way of greeting. Please tell me you're free for brunch and mimosas and complaining about men. I wish. I have to be at the gallery by 9. I poured coffee, eyeing the roses like they might attack me. But I need to talk to you. Something happened. Good happened or bad happened? I'm getting married. Silence. Then, I'm sorry, what? I spent the next 20 minutes explaining everything. The debt. My father's ultimatum. Dante Morelli and his casual threats delivered with a smile that promised dark things. Holy shit, Sophie breathed when I finished. Isabella, this is insane. This is medieval. You can't actually go through with it. What choice do I have? If I refuse, my entire family suffers. So you're just going to marry some mobster who looks at you like your property? I thought about Dante's hands on my shoulders at the shooting range. The way his voice had dropped when he'd said, "Good girl." The heat that had flooded through me despite my terror. He's not just some mobster, I said quietly. He's dangerous, Sophie. Really dangerous. And I think he knows exactly what he's doing to me. What do you mean? I mean he's playing some kind of game and I don't know the rules yet. I set down my coffee mug. But I'm going to learn them. And then I'm going to beat him at his own game. Sophie laughed, but it was tinged with worry. That's my girl. Just, be careful, okay? Men like that don't lose gracefully. Good thing I don't plan on letting him lose at all. He's going to think he's winning right up until the moment I destroy him. And how exactly do you plan to do that? Honestly, I had no idea. But I had 10 days to figure it out. The gallery was quiet when I arrived. Tuesday mornings always were. I loved these hours, just me, the art, and the silence to think. I was reviewing the proposal for our next exhibition when my boss, Catherine, appeared in my office doorway. "You have a visitor," she said, her eyebrows raised meaningfully. "I don't have any appointments this morning. Trust me. You want to take this meeting." Confused, I followed her to the main gallery space. And there he was. Dante Morelli, standing in front of a Caravaggio, hands in his pockets, looking like he belonged in a museum himself. Some Renaissance painting of a dark angel. "Mr. Morelli," I said, my voice carefully professional. "This is a surprise." He turned and the smile he gave me was predatory. "Is it? I told you I make it my business to know everything about what's mine." Catherine's eyes went wide. I could practically see the gossip forming in her brain. "Catherine, would you mind giving us a moment?" I asked. She left reluctantly, glancing back over her shoulder like she was worried he might eat me. "Fair concern, honestly. You can't just show up at my work," I hissed once we were alone. "I can do whatever I want." He stepped closer. "That's the benefit of having power, Isabella. No one tells me no. Except me. You haven't said no yet. You said, I could refuse, which is very different from actually refusing. Damn him for being right. What do you want?" I asked. "To see you. To remind you that Friday is approaching." He gestured to the Caravaggio. "Judith beheading Holofernes. Interesting choice for your gallery." I glanced at the painting, the Old Testament heroine caught in the act of decapitating the Assyrian general who'd threatened her people. Violent, bloody, and somehow beautiful. "It's about a woman taking control of her own fate," I said. "Is it? I always saw it as a warning about underestimating your enemies." His dark eyes locked on mine. "Which interpretation do you prefer?" "Both. They're not mutually exclusive." He laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his face for just a moment. Made him look younger. Almost human. "I think we're going to get along wonderfully, Isabella." "I think you're delusional." "Perhaps." He pulled an envelope from his jacket. "Your dress. For Friday." "I can choose my own dress." "I'm sure you can. But I've already had one made. Valentino. Your measurements are 34, 26, 36 if I'm not mistaken." His gaze raked over my body, confirming what he already knew. "It will fit perfectly." My face flamed. "How did you?" "I told you. I know everything." He pressed the envelope into my hands. "Wear it. Friday. 8 p.m. And if I don't?" He leaned in close, his lips nearly brushing my ear. "Then I'll come to your apartment and dress you myself. And believe me, Cara, you don't want to test me on that." The Italian endearment should have sounded ridiculous. Instead, it sent heat pooling low in my belly. He pulled back, straightened his tie, and headed for the exit. At the door he paused. "Oh, and Isabella? The roses. Did you like them?" I didn't want to answer. Didn't want to give him the satisfaction. But something in his eyes, a flicker of genuine curiosity beneath all that practiced arrogance, made me tell the truth. "They're beautiful," I admitted quietly. The smile he gave me was devastating. "Good girl." Then he was gone, leaving me alone with Judith and her bloody sword. I looked at the envelope in my hands. Opened it. Inside was a sketch. A dress. Red, of course. Elegant but daring. The kind of dress that would make me feel beautiful and exposed all at once. At the bottom, a note in his handwriting. 10 days until you're mine. I'm counting every one. Dante. I should have been terrified. Instead, I was something much more dangerous. Intrigued. Chapter 4. Isabella. Friday arrived too quickly and not quickly enough. I'd spent the past 3 days in a state of perpetual anxiety, jumping every time my phone buzzed, convinced it would be Dante with another demand or darkly seductive threat. Instead, he'd gone silent. No calls. No texts. No surprise visits to my workplace. Just the roses, which I absolutely had not kept on my kitchen counter where I could see them every morning. Except I had. "You're losing your mind," Sophie declared, sprawled across my bed while I stood in front of my closet in nothing but a towel. "It's Stockholm Syndrome. You're bonding with your captor." "He's not my captor. Not yet, anyway."
Semantics. She popped a grape into her mouth. "Are you really going to wear the dress he sent?" I looked at the garment bag hanging on my closet door. I hadn't opened it since Tuesday. Hadn't dared. "I don't know," I admitted. "Wear something else. Something powerful. Make a statement. Or I wear his dress and let him think he's won, and then I figure out his weaknesses from the inside." Sophie sat up, eyeing me with new interest. "You've been thinking about this." "I've been thinking about nothing but this." I moved to the garment bag, fingers hovering over the zipper. "He wants to own me, Sophie. He wants to control every aspect of my life. But control is a two-way street. If he's obsessed with me, that gives me power too. That's either brilliant or completely insane. Probably both." Anne zipped the bag. The dress was even more beautiful than the sketch had suggested. Red silk, nearly scarlet. Off the shoulder with a sweetheart neckline that would showcase my collarbones and the curve of my breasts. Form-fitting through the bodice and hips, then flowing to the floor in a way that suggested old Hollywood glamour. It was the kind of dress that made a statement. I am not to be trifled with. Or, I belong to someone powerful. Depending on your perspective. "Okay, that's gorgeous," Sophie admitted. "I hate that he has good taste." "Me too." I slipped it on. It fit like it had been painted onto my body, because of course it did. Dante had probably paid some designer an obscene amount of money to create it custom. The woman looking back at me in the mirror was not the Isabella the first recognized. This woman looked dangerous. Sophisticated. Like she could handle a man like Dante Morelli. I hoped the illusion was convincing. The car arrived at 7:30. Not Dante but a driver. Marco, according to the name he gave when I answered the intercom. The same man who'd been with Dante at the shooting range, I realized. "Mr. Morelli thought you'd prefer privacy for the drive," Marco explained, opening the door of a sleek black Mercedes. "He's waiting for you at the estate." "Of course he is," I muttered. The drive took 40 minutes, winding through increasingly exclusive neighborhoods until we reached gates that looked like they could withstand a military assault. They opened silently as we approached. The Morelli estate was not what I'd expected. I'd pictured something gaudy, ostentatious. Old money trying too hard. Instead it was elegant. Imposing, yes, the house was massive, but with clean lines and understated luxury. Mature trees lined the drive. Gardens that had clearly been tended for decades flanked the entrance. It looked like a home, not a fortress, which somehow made it more intimidating. Marco opened my door, offering his hand to help me out. "He's in the garden. Through the house out the back. You can't miss it. You're not coming. Mr. Morelli wanted to greet you alone." Something flickered across Marco's face. Sympathy? Warning. "Good luck, Miss Rossetti." I needed all the luck I could get. The interior of the house was breathtaking. Hardwood floors, art that probably cost more than my entire education, furniture that managed to be both modern and timeless. But I barely registered it. My heart was pounding too hard, my heels clicking against the floor sounding unnaturally loud in the silence. French doors at the back of the main hall led to a garden that took my breath away. Fairy lights strung through trees. A fountain bubbling softly. Flowers I couldn't name filling the air with perfume. And in the center of it all, next to a table set for two, stood Dante Morelli. He'd discarded his suit jacket. His white shirt was rolled to the elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle and scattered with scars I wanted to trace with my fingers. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, as if he'd been running his hands through it. He looked nervous. Well, not Dante. Dante didn't do nervous. But there was something in his expression as he watched me approach. Something raw and unguarded that disappeared the moment he realized I'd seen it. Isabella. My name was a caress. You wore the dress. Did I have a choice? There's always a choice. You made the right one. He moved toward me, circling like I was something to be studied, appreciated, possessed. You're even more beautiful than I imagined. You've imagined me. His eyes met mine, and the heat in them nearly made me stumble. Every night for 6 months. The honesty of it stole my breath. I don't understand you, I whispered. Good. I'd be disappointed if you did. He offered his arm. Shall we? Dinner is ready, and I have something I need to discuss with you. Red flag. Definitely a red flag. But I took his arm anyway, hating how right it felt. How perfectly my hand fit in the crook of his elbow. He pulled out my chair, such an antiquated gesture from a man who seemed anything but old-fashioned, and I sat, acutely aware of how close he stood before moving to his own seat. Wine appeared, poured by a silent member of staff who vanished as quickly as he'd arrived. To new beginnings, Dante said, raising his glass. To surviving them, I countered.
He laughed, that genuine sound again that transformed him. I'm going to enjoy this marriage, Isabella. One of us should. Oh, you'll enjoy it too. Eventually. He took a sip of wine, never breaking eye contact. But first, we need to establish some ground rules. Rules? Expectations? Boundaries? Whatever you'd like to call them. He set down his glass, his expression shifting to something harder. More dangerous. I know you didn't choose this. I know you're here because your father made promises he couldn't keep. But that doesn't change the reality of our situation. Which is, in 10 days, well 9 now, you'll be my wife. You'll move into this house. You'll take my name. He paused. And you'll fulfill all the duties that come with being Mrs. Morelli. He crept up my neck. If you think I'm going to just breathe, Isabella. I'm not talking about sex. Not yet, anyway. His lips curved. When I take you to bed, it will be because you're begging me to. Not before. The arrogance should have infuriated me. Instead, it sent a shiver down my spine. How confident, I managed. How honest. There's chemistry between us. You feel it? I feel it. He leaned forward. But I'm not a monster, despite what you might have heard. I won't force you. I won't hurt you. Not in any way you don't want to be hurt. The last sentence hung in the air between us, laden with implication. What do you want from me? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Everything. No hesitation. No apology. Your presence at my side. Your intelligence in conversation. Your fire when we fight, and we will fight, Kara. I'm counting on it. He reached across the table, his finger tracing the back of my hand. I want you to be my wife in every sense. Partner. Companion. Lover. You want someone you can control. No. The word was sharp. I want someone who'll challenge me. Push back. Keep me honest. His dark eyes burned into mine. I have dozens of people who do whatever I say without question. It's boring. You're anything but boring. I could disappoint you. You could. But I don't think you will. The first course arrived. Some delicate seafood creation that probably had a French name I couldn't pronounce. I barely tasted it. What did my father owe you? I asked suddenly. Exactly how much debt am I worth? Dante's expression darkened. 15 million. I nearly choked on my wine. 15 million. He was desperate, Isabella. Made deals with dangerous people. The kind who don't accept payment plans. He watched me process this. I bought out his debt. Absorbed it into my own operations. Your father now owes me, not them. So you own him. I own his business. His assets. His future. He paused. And in exchange for not destroying everything he's built, I get you. That's barbaric? Medieval? Completely insane? He smiled without humor. Yes. Welcome to my world. I didn't ask for this world. Neither did I. But here we are. He set down his fork, suddenly serious. I could give you platitudes. Tell you it will all be fine. That you'll learn to love this life, love me even. But you won't. But I won't. Because I don't lie to you, Isabella. I won't start now. He stood, moving around the table to stand beside me. This life is dangerous. Being my wife means accepting risks, making compromises, living in a world where threats are real and consequences are permanent. You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to prepare you. His hand cupped my jaw, tilting my face up to meet his gaze. I'm trying to give you one last chance to run. My heart hammered. And if I run? Then I'll hunt you down and drag you back. His thumb traced my lower lip. But I'd rather you stay willingly. Why? Because willing is so much more satisfying. The kiss, when it came, wasn't what I expected. I'd braced for aggression. For him to claim my mouth like he claimed everything else, with force and certainty. Instead, he kissed me like I was precious, like I was something to be savored. His lips were soft against mine, coaxing rather than demanding. His hand slid into my hair, cradling my head with surprising gentleness. I should have pulled away. Should have slapped him. Should have done anything except what I did, which was open my mouth and kiss him back. The world tilted. Or maybe that was just me melting into him as the kiss deepened. His tongue swept against mine, and I heard myself make a sound that was definitely not protest. His other hand found my waist, pulling me up from the chair until I was pressed against him. I could feel every hard plane of muscle, the heat of him seeping through the thin silk of my dress. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. 9 days, he murmured against my lips. 9 days until you're mine. I'm not. Yours, he finished. I know. You keep saying that. But your body knows differently, doesn't it, Kara? Damn him for being right. Chapter 5, Dante. I watched Isabella leave from my office window, her red dress a slash of color against the night as Marco helped her into the car. She'd stayed for dinner, talked with me, laughed at my jokes, kissed me like the world was ending. And then she'd pulled away, erected her walls again, and politely informed me that she needed to go home. She's terrified, Marco observed from the doorway. She should be. Of you or of herself? I turned to face him. Marco knew me better than anyone, had seen me at my worst, my most ruthless. Both, I admitted. You're playing a dangerous game, boss. She's not like the others. That's the point. I moved to my desk, pulling up the file I'd compiled on Isabella. 6 months of surveillance, investigation, observation. I knew she volunteered at a women's shelter on Thursdays. That she sent money to her younger brother every month, even though he had a full scholarship. That she turned down 3 marriage proposals from respectable men because she refused to be someone's trophy wife. I knew she had nightmares. That she slept with a knife under her pillow after her apartment had been broken into 2 years ago. That she'd taken self-defense classes and shooting lessons because she refused to be a victim. I knew she was stronger than she realized, braver than she believed. And I knew that if I wasn't careful, she'd destroy me. You're in love with her, Marco said quietly. Don't be ridiculous. I barely know her. You've been obsessed with her for 6 months. You bought her father's company just to have an excuse to be near her. You've memorized her schedule, her preferences, her fears. He shook his head. That's not business, Dante. That's something else entirely. I didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because he was right and we both knew it. I told myself this was strategic. That Isabella would be a useful wife. Intelligent, cultured, beautiful. An asset to my empire. But that was a lie. The truth was simpler and far more dangerous. I wanted her. Not just her body, though God knows I burned for that. I wanted her fire. Her defiance. Her refusal to bend. I wanted to be the man who finally broke through her walls. Who earned her trust. Her loyalty. Her love. She's going to hate you when she finds out, Marco warned. Finds out what? That her father's debt was manageable. That you could have helped him without requiring marriage. He met my eyes. That you engineered this entire situation because you wanted her. Ice flooded my veins. How did you? I've been with you for 15 years. You think I don't know how you operate? He shook his head. Vincent Rossetti's debt was bad, but it wasn't catastrophic. You made it catastrophic. You bought out his creditors, increased the terms, made it impossible for him to pay. I gave him a way out. You gave him an impossible choice. And Isabella is going to figure it out eventually. She's too smart not to. He was right. Damn him, he was right. Then I'll deal with it when the time comes. And if she runs? I thought about Isabella's gray-green eyes. The way she'd kissed me back despite her fear. The determination in her voice when she'd said she wouldn't be controlled. Then I'll do what I told her I'd do. I'll hunt her down. I met Marco's gaze. Because she's mine, Marco. She just doesn't know it yet. The next morning I sent her another gift. Not flowers this time. Something more personal. I'd noticed the painting she'd been admiring at her gallery. A small Renaissance piece, Madonna and Child. She'd stood in front of it for 10 minutes during her lunch break, catalog in hand, clearly wishing she could afford it. I bought it. Had it wrapped, packaged, delivered to her apartment with a simple note. For your walls or your heart, whichever needs it more. D. My phone rang 20 minutes after the delivery window. This is too much, Isabella said without preamble. I can't accept this. You can. You will. Dante, this painting is worth more than I make in a year. Then it's right where it belongs. With someone who appreciates it. I leaned back in my office chair, smiling. Did you hang it? Silence. Then, yes. Where? My bedroom. Above the dresser. She sighed. You can't keep doing this. Doing what? Giving my fiancé gifts. Buying my affection. I'm not buying your affection, Isabella. I'm courting you. There's a difference? A significant one. Buying implies transaction. Courting implies hope. Another silence. Longer this time. Hope for what? She finally asked, her voice soft. That you'll see me as more than a monster. That you'll give us a chance. I paused. That you'll stop fighting what's inevitable and accept that this, us, might actually be something extraordinary. You're very sure of yourself.
I'm very sure of us. There is no us. There's a business arrangement masquerading as a marriage. If that's what you need to tell yourself to feel safe, Cara, then believe it. I stood, moving to my window. But we both know the truth. You felt it when you kissed me. When you wore my dress. When you looked at me across the dinner table like you wanted to devour me or destroy me. Definitely destroy. I laughed. Liar. Dante. 8 days, Isabella. 8 days until you're mine. Use them however you need to. Wage. Plan. Scheme. But know that when you walk down that aisle, and you will walk down that aisle, everything changes. Is that a threat? It's a promise. I softened my voice. I'll see you tomorrow. Dress fitting. Noon. I don't remember agreeing to that. You didn't. I'm informing you. My sister will be there. She's been dying to meet you. Your sister. Lucia. She's different from the rest of my family. Better. You'll like her. I hope that was true. Be there, Isabella. Or I'll come get you myself. You love threatening me, don't you? Only because you love defying me. I hung up before she could respond, grinning like an idiot. Marco was right. I was playing a dangerous game. But God help me, I'd never felt more alive. Chapter 6. Isabella. The bridal boutique was exactly as obnoxious as I'd expected. All white and cream and soft lighting designed to make nervous brides feel like princesses. Champagne on ice. Assistants hovering with fake smiles and real judgment. I hated it immediately. Miss Rossetti, a woman who couldn't have been more than 5 feet tall, descended on me like a perfumed hurricane. We've been expecting you. Mr. Morelli has selected several gowns for you to try. This way, please. He selected them. Oh yes. He was quite specific about what he wanted. She guided me toward a private fitting room. He has exquisite taste. Of course he did. Because controlling what I wore to marry him wasn't enough. He had to control what I wore to the dress fitting too. I was ready to murder him. And then I saw the dresses. There had to be a dozen of them. Each more beautiful than the last. Lace and silk and intricate beadwork that must have taken months to create. Not a single one looked like a prison sentence. Oh wow! I turned at the sound of the voice. A young woman stood in the doorway. Mid-20s, dark hair, warm brown eyes. She wore jeans and a silk blouse, looking completely out of place among the wedding gown opulence. You must be Isabella, she said, smiling. I'm Lucia, Dante's sister. Oh, hi. I shook her offered hand, surprised by the genuine warmth. I wasn't sure you'd actually come. Are you kidding? I've been waiting for Dante to find someone for years. The fact that you clearly terrify him is just a bonus. I terrify him. Absolutely. I haven't seen him this nervous since. He paused, thinking. Actually, I've never seen him nervous. You're a miracle worker. Despite myself, I laughed. Lucia settled into one of the plush chairs, champagne in hand. Oh, arranged marriage. That's very 15th century of him. You know about that. Dante tells me everything. Well, everything important. She studied me with those sharp eyes. He's been obsessed with you for months. It's actually kind of sweet. In a deeply disturbing, stalkerish way. That's one word for it. Listen. Lucia leaned forward, suddenly serious. I know my brother. He's ruthless. Calculating. Sometimes cruel. He paused. But he's also capable of incredible loyalty. Of protection. Of love, even if he'd never admit it. Her eyes met mine. He'll guard you with his life, Isabella. Question is, can you handle being caged, even in a gilded one? I don't plan on being caged at all. Lucia's smile was brilliant. Oh, I like you. We're going to be great friends. The next 2 hours were surprisingly enjoyable. Lucia had opinions on everything, delivered with humor and honesty. She made me laugh. Made me forget, for brief moments, that this wasn't a real wedding. I tried on dress after dress. Each one beautiful. Each one feeling wrong. Until the last one. It was simpler than the others. Silk that seemed to pour over my body like water. Off-the-shoulder sleeves. A neckline that was modest but hinted at what lay beneath. A train that would trail behind me like a whisper. It was elegant, aimless, perfect. That's the one, Lucia breathed. Oh, Isabella. You look like a queen. I stared at my reflection. The woman looking back at me was a stranger. Someone who could marry Dante Morelli. Someone who could survive in his world. Someone who might even thrive there. Dante's going to lose his mind when he sees you, Lucia said, grinning. Good, I replied. Maybe that will give me the advantage. We had lunch after. A small Italian place that Lucia swore had the best carbonara in the city. She'd been right. Can I ask you something? I said halfway through my meal. Anything. Why are you being so nice to me? You know I didn't choose this. That I'm being forced into your family. Lucia set down her fork, considering. My father arranged a marriage for me once. When I was 19. My eyes widened. What happened? Dante happened. He found out, confronted our father, and made it very clear that I would marry who I wanted, when I wanted. Or there would be consequences. She smiled softly. Father backed down. He always backed down when Dante drew a line. So Dante protected you. He always has. Since we were kids. Her expression turned sad. Our childhood was complicated. Father was building his empire. Mother was absent in all the ways that mattered. Dante raised me. Protected me. Made sure I had chances he never got. Like what? Like college. Like a legitimate career. Like a life away from the family business. She met my eyes. He gave me freedom, Isabella. And I think deep down he wants the same thing for himself. He just doesn't know how to ask for it. So he takes it instead. So he takes it, she agreed. But here's the thing. I've watched him with you. Well, watched him obsess over you from afar, which is both creepy and endearing. And I've never seen him like this. Vulnerable. Uncertain. Almost human. He doesn't seem uncertain to me. Because he's terrified you'll see through him. That you'll realize he's not the monster he pretends to be. Lucia leaned forward. Give him a chance, Isabella. Real one. You might be surprised. Or I might end up destroying him. That too, she laughed. Either way, it'll be entertaining. I returned home to find another delivery waiting. This time a box. Velvet. My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was a ring. Not an engagement ring, we'd skipped that step entirely. This was different. A band of twisted gold and platinum, set with small diamonds that caught the light. Elegant but not ostentatious. Clearly antique. The note was in Dante's handwriting. My grandmother's ring. She wore it for 53 years. She told me once that marriage was a choice you made every day. To stay, to fight, to love even when it was hard. I hope you'll make that choice with me. I slipped the ring on my finger. Fit perfectly. Of course it did. 7 days until I married Dante Morelli. 7 days until my life changed forever. I looked at the ring, catching the light, and realized something terrifying. I was starting to want this. Not the arrangement. Not the obligation. I wanted him. God help me. Chapter 7. Dante. The bachelor party was a disaster. Not because anything went wrong, quite the opposite. My associates had rented out an entire club, hired entertainment that would make a priest blush, provided enough alcohol to kill a small army. I was bored within an hour. "You're supposed to be enjoying yourself," my cousin Tony said, dropping into the seat beside me. "Last night of freedom and all that. I'm enjoying myself. You're watching the door like you expect her to walk in." He wasn't wrong. I'd been checking my phone every 5 minutes, resisting the urge to text Isabella, call her, to drive to her apartment and... "You've got it bad," Tony laughed. "Never thought I'd see the day. Dante Morelli, brought to his knees by a woman. I'm not on my knees. Not yet. But you will be." He clinked his glass against mine. "Word of advice. Stop fighting it. You'll be happier. What do you know about marriage? You're still single." "Exactly. I've watched enough men fall to know the signs. You're gone, cousin. Might as well accept it." I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong. But my phone buzzed and I checked it immediately. A text from Isabella. "Your sister is wonderful. Thank you for today." My chest tightened. Such a simple message. Such a profound effect. I typed back, "You're wonderful. 7 days." Her response came quickly, "I know. I'm counting." Anticipation or dread. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Both. Honest. Like it. "Good night, Dante. Good night, Cara. Dream of me." I stared at the phone long after she'd stopped responding. "Yeah," Tony said, watching me. "You're definitely gone." I left the club at midnight, claiming exhaustion. The truth was simpler. I wanted to see her. Needed to see her. Marco drove me to her apartment building without comment. He'd long since stopped questioning my late-night drives past her building. "Want me to wait?" he asked. "No. Go home. I'll drive myself back." "Boss. I'm fine, Marco. I just need to clear my head." He didn't believe me. But he left anyway. I stood on the sidewalk across from her building, looking up at her window. 3rd floor corner apartment. The lights were still on. Was she unable to sleep? Thinking about the wedding. About me. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But instinct made me. "Mr. Morelli." The voice was female. Rough. Familiar in a way I couldn't place. "We need to talk about Isabella Rossetti." Every muscle in my body tensed. "Who is this?" "Someone who knows what you did. How you manipulated her father. How you engineered this whole arrangement. I wonder how your blushing bride would feel if she knew the truth." As flooded my veins. "What do you want?" "Insurance. 50. For her and for me." Another pause. "Meet me tomorrow. Noon. The old pier at the docks. Come alone, or Isabella learns everything." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, rage and fear warring in my gut. Someone knew. Someone was going to destroy everything. I looked up at Isabella's window one more time. The lights were off now. 7 days until she was mine. Unless this mysterious caller destroyed us first. Chapter 8. Dante. The old pier stank of rotting fish and diesel fuel. I arrived 15 minutes early, positioned Marco and 2 other men in hidden locations around the perimeter. If this was an ambush, I'd be ready. But I came alone to the meeting point as instructed. The woman who emerged from the shadows was not what I expected. Mid-40s, lean and weathered. Dark hair streaked with gray. eyes that had seen too much, and a face I recognized from Isabella's file. Maria Rossetti, I said. Isabella's aunt. The one who disappeared 8 years ago. So you do your homework. She moved closer, hands visible, showing she was unarmed. Good. Then you know I have every reason to protect my niece. From me. From everyone. Including herself. Maria pulled out a cigarette, lit it with shaking hands. I know what you did, Dante. I know you manipulated Vincent's debt. Made it worse. Engineered this entire marriage. My jaw tightened. How? Because I've been watching. Waiting. Making sure Isabella stayed safe. She exhaled smoke. I left 8 years ago to protect her from our family's mess. Vincent's gambling. His deals with dangerous people. I thought distance would keep her safe. But I came along. But you came along. Her eyes hardened. And you saw something you wanted. So you took it. Just like every other powerful man. It's not like that. Isn't it? She stepped closer. You want me to believe you care about her? That this is more than possession? Yes. The simple answer seemed to catch her off guard. I could tell her everything, Maria said. Could show her the financial records. Timeline. Prove that you manufactured this crisis. You could. I met her gaze. So why haven't you? Because I wanted to look you in the eye first. See if you're like Vincent. Like all the other men who've tried to control her. She took another drag. So here's my question, Dante Morelli. Do you love my niece? No one had asked me that. Not directly. Yes, I said. I do. And if she learns the truth, if she discovers what you did, then I'll deal with the consequences. Beg for forgiveness. Spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of her. Pause. But I won't let her go. Not now. Not ever. Maria studied me for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. Good answer. She dropped her cigarette, crushing it under her boot. I'm not going to tell her. Not yet, anyway. Relief flooded through me. Why not? Because despite everything, I think you might actually be good for her. She needs someone who'll challenge her. Push her. Match her fire. Maria's expression hardened. But hear me clearly. If you hurt her, if you break her spirit, I will destroy you. I have evidence of things that would bring down your entire empire. And I won't hesitate to use it. Understood. One more thing. She pulled an envelope from her jacket. Vincent's real debt, the original amount before you manipulated it, was 2 million. Not 15. I have the documents to prove it. My blood ran cold. What are you going to do with those? Keep them. Insurance. She met my eyes. Earn her love, Dante. Make this marriage real. Give her the choice you took away. And maybe, just maybe, I'll forget I ever had these. She disappeared into the shadows as quickly as she'd appeared. I stood alone on the pier, my phone buzzing with a text from Isabella. 6 days. Found my something blue. What about you? I stared at the message, Maria's words echoing in my head. Give her the choice you took away. I typed back. Can we talk? Tonight. It's important. Is everything okay? Well, nothing was okay. I'd built this relationship on lies and manipulation, and now I had to decide. Keep lying or risk losing everything by telling the truth. 'Twill be. Promise. 8 p.m. I'll come to you. Bae. I'll order pizza. Such a simple, normal thing. Pizza and conversation. I was going to destroy it all with my confession. But Maria was right. Isabella deserved the choice. Deserved the truth. Even if it meant losing her. Chapter 9. Isabella. I changed clothes 3 times before Dante arrived. Jeans felt too casual. The dress felt like I was trying too hard. I finally settled on leggings and an oversized sweater. Comfortable but not sloppy. Why did I care so much? The doorbell rang at exactly 8 p.m. Dante stood there in dark jeans and a black Henley, looking nothing like the polished businessman I'd grown accustomed to. He looked vulnerable. Hi, I said, stepping aside to let him in. Hi. He held up a bottle of wine. I brought this. Thought we might need it. That didn't sound ominous at all. I poured us both a glass while he settled on my couch, looking oddly out of place in my small apartment. Like a panther in a shoebox. So, I said, sitting beside him but maintaining distance. What's so important it couldn't wait 6 more days? He took a long drink of wine, set down the glass, turned to face me. I need to tell you something. And you're going to hate me for it. My stomach dropped. Okay. Your father's debt. The 15 million. It wasn't as catastrophic as I made it seem. I frowned. What do you mean? I mean I bought out his creditors. All of them. Then I consolidated the debt. Added terms. Made it impossible for him to pay. He met my eyes. I manufactured the crisis, Isabella. I made it worse so he'd have no choice but to come to me. The words didn't make sense at first. Like a foreign language I hadn't learned yet. Then they clicked. You. I stood up, wine sloshing in my glass. You did this on purpose. Deliberately put my family in danger so you could, what? Own me. Yes. No apology. Just honesty. I saw you. Wanted you. And I took steps to make you mine. Steps. I nearly screamed the word. You destroyed my father's life. Forced me into this marriage. All because you what? Thought I was pretty. Because I loved you. He stood too, moving toward me. I know how it sounds. I know it's insane. But I've been watching you for 6 months, Isabella. Learning you. Falling for you. And I knew you'd never give someone like me a chance unless you trapped me. I threw the wine in his face. He stood there, dripping, not even flinching. Yes, he said quietly. Unless I trapped you. Get out. My voice shook with rage. With betrayal. Get out of my apartment. Get out of my life. The wedding is off. Everything is off. Isabella. I said get out. He moved toward the door, then paused. I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I thought once you knew me, once we were together, you'd forgive me. That the ends would justify the means. Well, you thought wrong. Tears streamed down my face. I'll never forgive you for this. Never. He nodded slowly. I know. But I had to tell you anyway. You deserved the truth. 6 days before the wedding. You're telling me 6 days before. I know. I'm a coward. He opened the door. For what it's worth. I meant everything I said. Everything I promised. I do love you, Isabella. Even if you'll never believe it now. Then he was gone. I stood in my empty apartment, shaking with rage and hurt and something else I couldn't name. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Meet me. I have information about Dante you need to see. Maria. Maria. As in my Aunt Maria. Who'd been missing for 8 years. What the hell was happening? I met her at an all-night diner. Too wired to sleep. Too angry to think straight. She looked older than I remembered. Harder. But her eyes were the same. The Rossetti gray-green that I'd inherited. Isabella. She stood, pulling me into a hug I didn't return. I know you have questions. Try about 1 million. I sat across from her. Starting with, where the hell have you been? Protecting you. From a distance. She slid an envelope across the table. This is everything. Your father's real debt. Dante's manipulation. The timeline of how he orchestrated this entire arrangement. I opened it with shaking hands. Read through documents that confirmed everything Dante had confessed. And more. He'd started watching me 8 months ago. Had manipulated my father's business deals starting 6 months ago. Had systematically destroyed every other option until marriage to him was the only solution. He's been planning this for months, I whispered. Yes, he's dangerous, Isabella. Obsessed. The kind of man who gets what he wants no matter the cost. Maria took my hand. You don't have to marry him. I have evidence that could. He told me. She blinked. What? Tonight. He told me everything. confessed it all. I looked up at her. Why would he do that if he's the monster you're describing? I don't know. He could have kept lying. Could have married me in 6 days and I'd never have known. But he chose to tell me the truth, even knowing I'd hate him for it. I sat back, my mind spinning. Why? Because he's playing a longer game. Or because he actually loves me. The words hung between us. You can't seriously be considering still marrying him, Maria said. I don't know what I'm considering. I stood, suddenly exhausted. I need to think. I need to figure out what I want. Isabella, thank you for this. I gestured to the envelope. And for caring enough to come back. But I need to make this decision myself. I left her at the diner and drove aimlessly for hours. Dante had manipulated me, lied to me, orchestrated an entire crisis to trap me. But he'd also been honest when it counted. Vulnerable. Real. And God help me, I'd felt something when he'd said he loved me. Not just attraction. Not just chemistry. Recognition. Like finding something I'd been missing without knowing it was gone. By the time I got home, the sun was rising. And I'd made my decision. Chapter 10, Dante. I didn't sleep. Just sat in my office, staring at my phone, waiting for Isabella to call. Text. To tell me she never wanted to see me again. The silence was worse than any curse she could have thrown at me. 6 a.m. my phone finally buzzed. We need to talk. Not my place, not yours. Somewhere neutral. The gallery where we met. 9 a.m. My heart hammered. I'll be there. She was waiting when I arrived, standing in front of the Caravaggio. Judith and her sword. I've been thinking, she said without preamble. About what you did. What you are. Isabella. Let me finish. She turned to face me. You're a liar. A manipulator. You took away my choice and engineered my entire life to serve your obsession. Each word was a knife. Yes. And you knew I'd hate you for it. But you told me anyway. Yes. Why? She stepped closer. Why confess? Why not just keep lying? Because you deserve the truth. And because. I swallowed hard. Because I'd rather have you hate me for who I really am than love me for a lie. She studied my face for a long moment. Then, inexplicably, she smiled. You're an idiot. I know. A manipulative, controlling, obsessive idiot. I know. But you're also honest. In the worst, most inconvenient way possible. She moved closer. You could have kept lying. But you chose truth, even knowing it would destroy everything. It seemed important. It was important. Her hand reached up to touch my face. Here's what's going to happen, Dante. I'm going to marry you in 6 days. Not because I have to. Not because of my father's debt. But because I'm choosing to. I couldn't breathe. What? You took my choice away once. I'm taking it back. Her gray-green eyes locked on mine. But we're doing this my way now. On my terms. Anything. Name it. First, you pay off my father's real debt, the 2 million, not the manufactured 15. Give him back his business. Free and clear. Done. Second, I keep my job, my apartment, my independence. I'll live with you, play the dutiful wife in public, but I maintain my own life. Agreed. Third, total honesty. From now on, no more lies. No more manipulation. If you want something from me, you ask. Like an adult. Yes. And fourth. She pulled me down until our lips were almost touching. You earn me, Dante. Every day. You prove that this obsession is really love. That you see me as a partner, not property. I can do that. My voice was rough with emotion. I will do that. Then we have a deal. She kissed me, soft and sweet and full of promise. But know this. If you ever manipulate me again, if you ever take away my choice, I will destroy you. Not your business. Not your empire. The man underneath all that armor. I believe you. Good. She stepped back, straightening her clothes. Now we have a wedding to plan. And I'm changing everything your sister picked out. I laughed. Actually laughed, relief and joy and disbelief warring in my chest. You're giving Lucia a heart attack. She'll survive. Unlike you if you screw this up again. Understood. I pulled her back to me, needing to feel her. To know this was real. Isabella. Thank you. For the choice. For choosing me. Don't thank me yet. You haven't seen my list of demands for the honeymoon. There's a list. There's always a list. She grinned and it transformed her face. Made her look younger. Happier. Welcome to marriage, Dante. Hope you're ready. I wasn't. But God help me, I was excited to try. Chapter 11. Isabella. The next 5 days were chaos. True to my word, I changed almost everything about the wedding plans. Lucia pretended to be offended but kept shooting me conspiratorial grins when Dante wasn't looking. My father was confused when Dante suddenly forgave 2/3 of his debt, but he didn't ask questions. Just took the gift and ran. I told him the wedding was my choice now. He looked at me like I'd grown a second head. You're choosing to marry Dante Morelli? He'd asked, incredulous. Yes. The man who basically blackmailed us. The same. Why? I'd thought about that question a lot over the past few days. Why was I choosing this? Why was I giving Dante a chance after what he'd done? Because he's honest, I'd finally said. In his own twisted way. And because I think we might actually be perfect for each other. You're insane. Probably. But I'm happy. Can you say the same? He couldn't argue with that. Sophie was even less convinced. He stalked you, she'd yelled over drinks. 4 months. And now you're just fine with that. I'm not fine with it. But I'm choosing to move past it. Why? Because perfect doesn't exist, sophomore. And I'd rather have someone who's honest about being flawed than someone who pretends to be perfect while hiding darkness. I'd taken a sip of wine. Dante showed me all his darkness. And then gave me the choice to walk away. And you didn't walk away. No. I walked toward him instead. She'd hugged me then. Told me I was either the bravest or stupidest person she knew. Probably both, I'd agreed. The night before the wedding, I stayed at my apartment one last time. Tomorrow, I'd move into the Morelli estate. Start my new life. Become Isabella Morelli. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, I felt ready. My phone buzzed. Can't sleep. Thinking about you. Isn't it bad luck to talk to the bride the night before? I don't believe in luck. Only in us. Smiled. That's almost romantic. Almost. You'd need to try harder for actual romance. Challenge accepted. Look outside your window. Confused, I moved to my balcony. The street below was filled with candles. Hundreds of them, arranged to spell out words. I love you. Oh my God, I breathed. My phone rang. You're insane, I said instead of hello. Probably. But I meant what I said. About earning you. About proving this is real. He paused. I love you, Isabella. Tomorrow, I get to spend the rest of my life showing you how much. You're going to spoil me. That's the plan. Dante. Yes, Cara. I love you too. The silence on the other end stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then, say it again. I love you, Dante Morelli. God help me, but I do. God has nothing to do with it. This is all us. Choice. Our future. Our madness, I added. That too. I could hear the smile in his voice. Get some sleep, Isabella. Tomorrow you're mine. Tomorrow you're mine, I corrected. There's a difference. Best difference I've ever heard. Chapter 12. Dante. The church was packed. Business associates. Family. Friends of friends who came because a Morelli wedding was an event you didn't miss. I stood at the altar, Marco beside me as my best man, and tried not to fidget. Nervous, he whispered. Terrified, I admitted. Good. Means you care. The music started. Everyone stood. And then I saw her. Isabella walked down the aisle alone. Her choice. She'd refused to be given away like property. The dress was even more beautiful than I'd imagined. She was even more beautiful than I'd imagined. But it was her eyes that captured me. Gray-green and steady and full of determination. She wasn't walking toward an obligation. She was walking toward her choice. Heard me. When she reached the altar, I took her hand, leaned down to whisper, "Last chance to run. Shut up and marry me, Morelli." I grinned. "Yes, ma'am." The ceremony was traditional. The vows were anything but. When it came time for our personal promises, Isabella went first. "Dante," she began, her voice steady. "You're controlling, obsessive, and occasionally infuriating. You've lied to me, manipulated me, and turned my entire life upside down." He paused, smiling. "And I'm choosing you anyway. Not because I have to. Not because I'm trapped. But because underneath all that darkness, I see something worth fighting for. Someone worth loving." She squeezed my hands. "I promise to challenge you. Push back when you're wrong. To never let you forget that I'm your partner, not your possession. And I promise to love you. All of you, even the parts you think are unlovable." My throat was tight. My eyes suspiciously wet. Then it was my turn. "Isabella," I managed. "I saw you and wanted you with an intensity that terrified me. I made mistakes, big ones. I took away your choice, your freedom, your trust. And somehow, miraculously, you're giving me a chance anyway." Took a breath. "I promise to earn that chance every day. To be honest, even when it's hard. To respect your independence while cherishing our partnership. And I promise to love you, not as something I own, but as someone I'm honored to walk beside." Pause. "You make me want to be better, Cara. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you." "You may kiss your bride," the priest announced. I didn't wait for permission. I pulled Isabella to me, kissing her like I'd been starving for it, like she was oxygen and I'd been drowning. She kissed me back just as fiercely, her hands fisting in my hair. The church erupted in applause. "I love you," I whispered against her lips. "I know," she whispered back. "Now let's go scare your family with how happy we are." The reception was everything I'd expected. Excess, opulence, too many people asking me about business when all I wanted was to be alone with my wife. My wife. Isabella handled it all with grace I didn't know she possessed. Smiling, charming, navigating the sharks in my world like she'd been born to it. But I saw the moments when her smile tightened. When someone's comment hit too close to home. After the fifth person congratulated me on my acquisition, I'd had enough. "Dance with me," I said, pulling her onto the floor. "We already did the first dance. Then we'll do a second. And a third. And as many as it takes until people stop being assholes." She laughed, melting against me as we swayed to the music. "They're your family and friends. Of course they're assholes." "Fair point." I pulled her closer. "Are you okay? Really? I'm married to a man who stalked me for 6 months and manipulated my family into bankruptcy to force me to marry him." She looked up at me, eyes twinkling. "I'm either okay or completely insane. Definitely insane. But you're my kind of insane. Lucky me. Lucky us." We danced until my father cut in, an old tradition I'd have happily skipped. He led Isabella away while Lucia appeared at my side. "You did good, big brother," she said, watching them. "She's perfect for you." "I know. Are you going to tell her about?" "Not tonight. Tonight is perfect. Tomorrow I can deal with business." I looked at my sister. "But yes, total honesty, remember? I'll tell her everything eventually. Even about everything," I said firmly. Because I'd meant my vows. No more lies. No more manipulation. Just truth even when it was ugly. We left the reception early, much to the disappointment of my extended family. "Where are we going?" Isabella asked as Marco drove us away from the venue. "Home. Our home. The estate. Eventually. But first." I pulled her onto my lap. First, I'm going to take my wife upstairs to the bedroom I had completely redesigned for us. And I'm going to spend the entire night proving that I know exactly how to earn her." Her breath hitched. "Is that so?" "That's a promise, Mrs. Morelli. I kept my name professionally." "I know. Ms. Rossetti in the office, Mrs. Morelli in my bed. I can work with that." I kissed her neck. "As long as you know who you belong to when the doors are closed." "I don't belong to anyone." "No," I agreed against her skin. "But you're choosing to be mine, which is so much better." He shivered. "Dante. Say it again. Dante. No. Say you love me." "I love you," she breathed. "Even though you're impossible and controlling, Anne." I kissed her, swallowing whatever else she'd been about to say. "And you're mine," I finished. "Even though you're stubborn and infuriating and too smart for your own good. We're a disaster. We're perfect." The wedding night. The bedroom was exactly as I'd promised. Redesigned completely. Our space. Our sanctuary. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. A bed the size of a small country. And candles. Hundreds of them, making the room glow like something out of a dream. "You're such a romantic," Isabella teased. "Only for you." I started to undress her slowly, reverently. Each button a prayer. Each inch of revealed skin a revelation. "You're shaking," she whispered. "I've wanted this for so long. Wanted you for so long." I met her eyes. "I'm terrified I'll wake up and it'll all be a dream. Then I'll just have to prove it's real." She pushed me back onto the bed, straddling me with a confidence that made my blood sing. "My turn to be in control," she said. "Anything you want, Kara. Always." What followed was transcendent. Not just sex, not just physical. It was a claiming, promise, beginning. She moved above me, her body taking mine with a possessiveness that matched my own. I let her set the pace, let her take what she needed, even as my hands mapped every inch of her skin. When she came apart above me, crying my name, I followed her over the edge. And in that moment I knew. This was real. This was right. This was everything I'd been searching for without knowing it existed. Afterward we lay tangled together, her head on my chest, my fingers trailing through her hair. "I have a confession," she said sleepily. "Another one. I started falling for you at the shooting range. When you touched me, adjusted my stance." She looked up at me. "I was furious and terrified and so attracted to you I couldn't think straight." "I know. You knew. I felt it too. That connection. That recognition." I kissed her forehead. "Why do you think I was so desperate to have you? I'd never felt anything like it before." "So you stalked me." "So I stalked you," I agreed. "Not my finest moment." "No. But you're making up for it." We fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other. And for the first time in my life, I felt something I'd never experienced before. Epilogue. 1 year later. Isabella. "You're going to be late," I called from the bathroom. "I'm never late," Dante called back. "You're going to be late to your own sister's wedding. She'll understand." I emerged from the bathroom in the dress he'd bought me for the occasion, emerald green, his new favorite color on me. He was standing by the window, still in his undershirt and suit pants, staring out at the ocean. "What's wrong?" I asked, coming to stand beside him. "Nothing's wrong. Everything's right." He pulled me into his arms. "I was just thinking about last year. How different things were." "You mean when you were a manipulative stalker?" "I was going for determined romantic. But sure, we can go with your version." He kissed my temple. "I'm just grateful you gave me a chance. I'm grateful you gave me a choice." It had been a year of adjustments, of fights and makeups, of learning how to be married to someone as stubborn as I was. But it had also been a year of laughter, partnership, of building something real from the ashes of manipulation. Dante had kept his promises. Every day he earned me. Every day. He proved that his obsession had transformed into genuine love. And I'd done the same, letting him in completely. Trusting him with all of me, the good and the difficult and the messy. We should get going, I said. Lucia will kill us if we miss her walking down the aisle. Let her. She'll forgive me eventually. Dante. One more minute. He turned me to face him. I have something for you. It's not my birthday. I don't need an excuse to give my wife gifts. He pulled out a small box. Opened it to reveal a necklace. A delicate gold chain with a single pendant. What's this? I asked as he clasped it around my neck. A reminder. That you hold the key to everything I am. Everything I have. Everything I'll ever be. He kissed me softly. You unlocked something in me I didn't know existed, Isabella. Humanity. Vulnerability. Love. You're going to make me cry before a wedding. Then we'll cry together. I'm not ashamed to admit you undo me, Cara. I kissed him, pouring everything I felt into it. Gratitude. Love. Oi. We really do need to go, I whispered against his lips. I know. He rested his forehead against mine. But later when we get home, I'm taking this dress off you very, very slowly. Promises, promises. Always. At Lucia's wedding, I stood beside Dante and watched his sister marry the love of her life. A perfectly normal accountant with no mob connections whatsoever. You approve, I whispered to Dante. He makes her happy. That's all I need to approve. Look at you being all emotionally mature. You're a terrible influence. The best kind. His hand found mine, our fingers interlacing. Thank you, he said suddenly. For what? For choosing me. For teaching me that love isn't about control or possession. It's about partnership. Freedom. You taught me things too. Like what? That sometimes the most broken people love the hardest. That honesty, even when it's ugly, is worth more than pretty lies. And that I'm stronger than I ever knew. I leaned against his shoulder. You challenged me to be better, Dante. To demand more. To never settle. We challenged each other. We did. Think we can keep it up for the next 50 years. 50. Try forever. He kissed the top of my head. Forever works for me, Mrs. Morelli. I told you I kept Rossetti professionally. I know. But right now, in this moment, you're mine. And I'm yours. Best deal I ever made. Second best, he corrected. The best was giving you a choice. I looked up at him. This man who'd started as my captor and become my partner. My equal. My love. No, I said softly. The best deal was me choosing you back. His smile was blinding. And as we danced at his sister's wedding, surrounded by family and friends and the life we'd built together, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. This was exactly where I was supposed to be. Not because fate had decided it. Not because circumstances had forced it. But because I'd chosen it. Chosen him. Chosen us. And that made all the difference. Then,